Okay, on the bench today, out of a 2008 Ford F-150 pickup four-wheel drive, we have the 4R75E transmission. And what's going on with this is when you would drive it, it'd make a 1-2 shift, and then when it should go into third, it was kind of hesitating. You felt it should have go in, and all of a sudden it just runs away in third gear. So we have no third, no fourth. Did a code scan, and there actually are no transmission codes, but 100% we got a transmission problem. All right, this has 133,000 miles on it. So we're gonna open it up, see what we find. Should find something wrong in the direct clutch, which is located all the way in the back here. It's the small drum. Actually, it's a pretty common problem for this series of transmissions for third to go bad. So without third, you're not going to have fourth because the direct clutch is on and third stays on in fourth. So what we're going to do is we'll open this up and see what we find. Again, it should find something wrong with the third clutch or the direct clutch. All right, so the first thing we'll do is probably pull the extension housing off. We got a couple of sensors here. I'll get up close. Input and output speed sensor. They added this input speed sensor in 2004. All right, and the output speed sensor, they changed the ring gear, the rear ring gear in 2004. I remember I did a video on one of these that it wasn't shifting. I don't know if it, I don't remember, maybe it wasn't shifting out of first, but it was a 2004 with a 2003 ring gear in there. I know I did a video on it. So 2004 and up, you know, would take this sensor. Okay, so let me get a little closer, and we'll go ahead and tear this down, see what we find. All right, so let's start. First, we're going to take the two sensors out, input and output. Now, the later years of these transmissions, they tend to blow the gear trains, and an easy way to tell if your gear train is bad is you take out the input speed sensor. These normally come right out, no problem. Okay, there we go. And if you got a bunch of crap on that magnet on top here, like a lot of hair or something, metal filings, more than likely, you know, your planet set is bad. And I see that a lot on 2011, 2012. And it could happen on any one of them, but for some reason I see it more on those years. All right, output speed sensor. All right, so this whole setup is going to stay together. So we're going to take the two bolts that hold the neutral safety switch in, and when we get the nut and the pin out from the inside, I'm just going to pull this whole thing out. Okay, so let's get the extension housing off. These are 10 millimeter. This actually is, I think, the fifth one this week. It's the end of the week now, but it's the fifth one this week that I'm doing. So this was like fourth week. Okay. Put it off. Got a gasket here. Ugh. Okay, there's our gasket, which will be replaced. All right, so four-wheel drive has the stubby tail for the transfer case. The two-wheel drive, the tail will be a little longer. All right, now what we're going to do, before we drop the pan, we could probably get all the guts out of this thing. So we're going to take the pump bolts out, 10 millimeter. Also, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave two bolts in because we got to get the pump out. Fluid's pretty dirty. See all this crap, all this build up here? I'm going to take my coarse cookie and sand all this down and make it nice so when it sits against the plate or the engine block, it'll be nice and clean. Let me just grab my phone. Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do is threaded holes in here, so these bolts stay in here pretty good. I'm gonna pop the pump out. Let me get on this side, a little closer. Ready? Let's see, let me just move this. Let me move it down a little bit, maybe a little closer. Okay. All right, here is the pump with these springs, and you know you got to line this piston up correctly so it doesn't hit the check valve in there and bend this up. I actually did a video on that as well. So here is the clip that holds the mechanical diode in for second gear. This always gets replaced with a spiral lock because this is usually how it looks when we pull these transmissions apart. All right, so I replaced that with, there's a spiral lock and the clip. So it gets replaced with this made by Speria. Give me 1 second again, let me get my phone. Okay, all right. Back with you again. Hopefully the phone won't ring anymore. So here is the selective washer for the pump. And this, I think probably has like a number 2 on it. But these are selective, just to let you know, they come in different colors and they are selective. Okay, so we'll put that there. We'll take a look at the pump. All right, so now I got an anti-rattle clip here for the intermediate clutches. And that looks like this. You know, honestly, I put these back because it comes out. A lot of rebuilders do not. I honestly don't think it's a big deal if you don't put it back. Like if you put the transmission together and you see it laying on the bench, don't think it's a big deal. Now, so here's the mechanical diode. This, again, will be held in with a spiral lock. That's an update. Let's get the clutches here. All right, these are the intermediate or second speed frictions. We got some burn marks here on the steel, but I have a banner kit for this. Okay, so now we got the overdrive band. We just gotta knock that out of place because the overdrive servo piston is still in place. So I got my seal puller. I got this. And we're gonna just knock it out like that. Here is the band, overdrive band, which will be replaced. Your forward and reverse input drum. All right, we're gonna take a look at those. Here is the hub. We've got a bearing in here for the forward clutch hub. And here is another bearing. All right, I see the problem already. All right, so this is a non-ferrous shell because the input speed sensor actually reads through this shell to read the forward drum. So this is non-magnetic here. So we have a bearing that goes here, and then we have another open face bearing on this side. Here is the drive for the direct drum. I'm going to keep that handy because I'm going to need that. And here is the race. So this goes together like that. All right, here are the bearings. All right, now we got a snap ring to take out. And you just got to look at the orientation of the snap ring because remember, this has an input speed sensor. So you can't put the snap ring across where the speed sensor reads because when you go to put the speed sensor in, it is not going to go. So just check the orientation of the snap ring before you pull it out. Okay, and it has one little tab and nothing on this side. All right, that is for the center support. Now we have the anti-rattle clip. If I can just get this headed out. There we go. Where did it go? All right, here is the anti-rattle clip. The early one kind of looked like a big heavy spring, and then they went to this type. All right, so now the center support, I'm going to pull it out of the spread. I'm going to try to. It looks like the whole thing is coming out. Okay, got it. All right. Here's the center support, inner spray brace here. Bushing here usually is pretty good. All right, here's the planet. Here's the low sprig. I'm going to put this aside. All right, there's a bushing here that I like to change. The small planet bushing, I call it. I was trouble getting these, but they're back in stock. Very hard to get those bushings. All right, here's the clutch hub for the direct clutches. All right, let's get the band out. All right, this band is pretty much all flaked off down to nothing. Wow, there's really nothing left of this band. I'm surprised this thing actually went backwards. It's going to be replaced. Okay, so first of all, this drum was no good because these bushings here, they really gouged it out. They really gouged that out here. So this drum 100% would have to be changed even if the drum wasn't the problem, but the drum is the problem. I'm going to show you what the problem is. Let me just bring this down. All right, let me get this one ready. Here's my replacement. Aftermarket drum is okay to use. All right, here is my replacement drum, nice and smooth, which means I'm going to be doing bushings on here and on the planetary as well. But here is the problem. All right, the clutches and everything look good, but this had no third. When this thing went to third, boom, ran away, nothing there. Here is the drive, here are the splines that spline into the drum, and we have nothing here. Splines are worn out. Okay, here is my replacement drum. Goes in. Nice. Here, nothing. So there is our problem. There is our no third gear. These things are stripped clean. And if you can see, here is the other new drum I'm going to use. Okay, so here is our problem. We're going to put this aside. All right, so now we're going to take a spacer out, a thin snap ring, and then we're going to get the output shaft out. And the bearing that sits in the case between the output shaft and the case. Here, all right, I'm going to feel where these rings ride. Okay, I always change the case bushings on these because if you, in the back section here, I'm going to go over this here, these here. So we have 3 rings here that ride here. All right, and if these things are all grooved out on one side, you know your case bushing is no good. All right, but I like to make it a habit of changing the case bushing as part of the overhaul. Okay, so let's get this stuff out of the way. All right, I did drain this and took some of the pan bolts out just so it goes a little quicker. And I want to show you something when I take the pan off. Okay, so here's the pan. You know, not too bad. And this was also in there. And it's jammed in there. This was also in there. So that means that this transmission was never serviced. Because what this is when these things go along the assembly line, I guess so nothing gets in. Well, I can't, I'll have to show you once the case is stripped, so I'll just put that aside. It sits in where the filler tube would go, and then when they pop the filler tube in, they just push the piece in, boom. And then when you do a service, you just throw it away. Probably got 24 of them laying in the corner of my bench here. All right, here is the filter. Let's get the filter out, we'll drain that. Pan gasket, this thing is shot. All right, so filter, gasket here. Okay, now, what I want to do is move this closer. Pick this up. All right, so I'm going to take the detent off so I can get this hardwire harness out. Okay. All right, so these have clips that kind of hold everything on. So I'm going to try to move the, hold the clip up and pop this off. And you know what? Let me move this. This is the bracket for the EPC solenoid. There are different ones. We're going to actually talk about that. I'll leave that aside. All right, so I'm going to try to get under this and pick this up. Okay, good. Okay. Usually there's clips on these two, but they come up fairly simple once the EPC solenoid is disconnected. So here is the hardwire harness. Okay, now we're going to get the 8mm bolts only to get the valve body off. Right. Basically, only two size bolts for this valve body. All right, short and long, pretty easy. The long ones go all in the center where this plate is, and the short ones all along the outside. All right, so we're going to roll out except for one. Let's just get these out. In the basket. So I got one left. Here we go. And this will put the valve body off. And we'll take a look at that as well. Aside for now. And I'm going to get rid of some of this oil here. This thing wasn't drained before, so I had to turn upside down for a while, get all the oil out. So we have a screen here that goes in this location right here. All right, we're going to take the pass-through out, just push that up. This is on a couple of, at least one O-ring. All right, there's that. We'll push that aside. A lot of times you're going to have oil inside here that leak through. If you see that, change the connector. Here is the 2-3 accumulator piston here. So this is the cover, and this is the spring. See if I can get it a little closer. And this is the piston. This is the piston here. Okay, that's going to be changed. Molded piston. Okay. Now we're going to get the linkage out. And the way we do that is we have a pin. I got a small little set of cutting pliers that I'll be able to lift the pin out. Okay, it comes right out, no problem. Little linkage, there it is. All right, and then I got this skinny wrench here Now we're gonna get this nut off to take the linkage out. Okay, so we got it started. Okay, there's the nut. This we can just pull out, keep it all together. Linkage is out. We're gonna take the parking pole out. All right, so we're gonna pull the shaft out, pop this up. I'm gonna put this spring aside so we do not lose it. Okay, EPC solenoid. So this is a dark can. Okay, this is 05 to 08. I think it's maybe 99 to 04 is a different solenoid. So you can build this transmission, you know, say with this solenoid and say, oh, I got a 4-wheel drive in with an 04. That's great. All you got to do is just get the correct solenoid and use the matching bracket that comes with the solenoid, and then you got yourself an 04. Everything else pretty much is the same. Okay. Now, we're going to do the 1-2 accumulator up here. Just got to get the only thing I forgot to get out. All right, so I got it. So these got some heavy springs behind this thing, so I'm going to just see if I can turn this. All right, and I'm going to push down on the cover and get the spring out. And sometimes it's, you know, it's a heavy spring, so. Push down. Okay, got it. All right, so here is that. All right, here's the molded cover. This actually comes in the Trans-Tech kits. We got a double spring here. They look good, not broken. The piston itself. Okay, these right now, I have a few left, but right now these are out of stock. And like I said, this is number 5 for this week. And I'm lucky I bought, you know, my supplier tells me, my rep tells me actually, he says, oh, you know, these things, we're not getting them in like we used to. So, you know, I bought like a dozen of them because I know they're gonna get used and I just have a few left. So I'm hoping by the time I use the others, they will be back in stock. All right, so now we have the overdrive piston, and we use again these pliers because they have like the eyelids. And we just gotta find, okay, and then I just give it a smack and get out. Sometimes these snap rings break, right? And it's very tough to get out. So what I do is I take out my drill and I drill a small hole in the ring here, and I get a scribe and just pick it out and get a screwdriver under it and lift it out. They give me a new one of those in the Trans-Tech kits as well. All right, here is the overdrive servo, the spring. Servo is going to be changed. And now we have the reverse piston and cover. Okay, so let's see if we can just pop this snapper out. Another one that's a little tough to get out, but I got it. Let's get underneath it. Okay, very good. Lift this out. Got a spring behind this as well. Okay, here we go. There is the cover, molded cover. And this is another item that is a little tough to get. All right, so this thing is pretty much hard as a rock, so I don't want to put this back, and I have to wait for the one. I got one coming, and I hope it's going to get here tomorrow or Monday, because this is on the lift and it's going to stay on the lift until this job is done, so we really don't have to keep pushing cars around. You know what? Sorry about that. There was another spring. So the 1-2 accumulator piston had the 2 springs on top with the cover, and then you have the 1 spring on the bottom here, like that. All right, so the case is stripped. All right, here's the lever seal. Just gonna see if we can take this out. Everything's really in there. Okay. Well, that crap and corrosion held the seal in. That always gets changed. I'm going to sand it all out here and make it smooth before I knock the new seal in. Okay. This, I can't even put this case on the other bench because I have other units there. I got an 8 HP, I got an 8 HP 45. I have a 65 Ford F100 medium case cruiser and an Audi RS6 four-wheel drive transmission I just finished. And that's a twin turbo, and one of the turbos really wasn't that great, so the guy's having it rebuilt. So I gotta reach out to him, see if I'm gonna have that. I'm hoping on Monday. All right, so we'll stand this up. All right, so I just want to get organized here. All right, so anyway, let me show you this. Let me show you this case real quick. All right, so here's the case. The filler tube goes here. So these things like go along the assembly line like that with the O-ring in it. And then when they come along with the filler tube, they just push this thing through and put the filler tube in. So this is always in the pan. It just stays in the pan, and when you drop the pan, you say, okay. So let me just get organized here, and we're going to take a look at the two sets of drums, the pump. We'll look at the direct drum. We'll take a look at the valve body, and we'll take a look at the output shaft as well. All right, give me a few. I'll be right back. All right, so let's take a look at the forward and reverse input clutch drums first. All right, so you want to make sure here you got no ring grooves. These bushings are going to be changed. All right, there are different 3 and 4 clutch drum setups. Common one is 3. All right, so these clutches are no good. This is pretty black here, but they're all, you know, got a banner kit. And these are like the Borg, so I'm going in with the Exities. Okay, we also have a cracked return spring. All right, so let me take this thing out. Thank God I have one of these in stock. All right, so I'm going to take the snap ring out, and I'll show you the plate. All right, so here's a pretty thick, wavy snap ring down there. All right, now this here is cracked, so it's spread open a little bit. You can get this thing out. This is no good. See, this is cracked here. All right, so this will be replaced. I do have one of those. And then when you take that out, just got to be careful because there is like a centering ring here before the piston. All right, and then the piston. All right, take a look here. We have a bearing in between, and this bearing goes here like that, and then you put the drum on. Forward frictions. Okay, just make sure this wave is not broken here. And pretty much these forward clutches are flaking off. This one is real low. Flaking, I mean, they're not burnt, they're just coming apart because that's what happens. That's why I use the exiting frictions. All right, and I have 2 solid rings here. So I put one solid ring on, and then I use the stator because it has a nice chamfer here to resize the ring. All right, there's 2 of those there. All right, let's take a look at the direct clutch. Again, strip splines, reason for no third. You have a washer and a bearing. The washer goes down first, the recess faces down, so it goes like that. All right, let's take a look at these. Teeth are a little worn, but they're getting changed. So what I do when I do the direct clutch and when I do the forward clutch, all right, I feel that they have a little too much clearance in them, a little too much. I would like to see the clutch packs a little tighter, not super tight, but tighter. So what I do, like for instance, here's 5 direct frictions from my banner kit, all right, and here is 1 early direct clutch from like a regular AOD, all right, so this is thicker, you know, these maybe are 62 and these are 82, all right, so I get that little more clearance in the clutch pack, so it's not too bad. All right, the same thing with the forward clutches. All right, here's the Exidy's reverse input, and here are the forward clutches here. So I got 4, and then this is an AOD thick forward and reverse input clutch. Again, like these are maybe 62, this is 82. And I get nice, you know, it comes up perfect, just how I would want the clutch pack to be. Okay, if you can't find that, you buy a thicker snap ring here. They make one that's like 90 thousandths and it's perfect. It takes up the clearance. But instead of doing that, you know, I buy 5 of those clutches at a time. And I think this is my last one because again, this is number 5 unit for this week. So I like to do that on both of the forward and the direct drum. So that's an early friction to take up spacing so there's not too much clearance in the clutch pack. All right, let's take a look at this. Here are your rings in the back. All right. I'm going to take this snap ring off, a little wavy snap ring also. I'm going to take this off. Here is your ring gear. And the 04 and up has the long lugs. The 03 and down has short lugs with a hole that the speed sensor reads as it goes around. All right, so that's how you can tell the difference. All right, we got a bearing here. That goes on the back of the direct drum here. Okay, put that aside. Give me 1 second. Okay, just give me 1 second, I'll be back. Okay, so we got a couple of rings here for the direct drum. All right, these also are solid rings. Now, I am using a replacement drum, which is an aftermarket drum, which is fine to use, because I use these all the time, never had a problem. But the chamfer here is a little smaller than your OE drum here. So what I do is I use the OE drum to resize the rings, okay? What I actually have, this is the center broke out of one of these direct drums, so I saved it, and I use this to resize the rings. All right, I get them nice and snug on there, and then the direct drum will fit on there no problem. Even with these rings that are already on here and used, you know, the drum is a little tight to go on. It's a little tight to go on, but it'll go. So, you know, if you have a drum, or if you got to use this aftermarket drum, save your old drum for now to use it to resize the new star ring. See how easy this goes on? Boom. And this one went on much harder than that. So that's what I use here. So I'm going to run that by you. Okay. Now let's take a look at the pump. All right, again, here's your springs and this piston. You have to put in a way so it doesn't hit that bleed hole here, this check hole here. So a lot of times when these things been done, I take it out and here's the thing here and this is all bent up out of shape. So I actually did a video on it. Let's take this gasket off. All right, so this round part here, okay, is gonna go, so here's all like the apply holes and feed holes here. So this cutout goes at like the 12 o'clock position. All right, so it's gonna go right here like this. Okay, then you can see where the springs are and then just put the piston where a spring is not. Very simple. Okay, so that's like the 12 o'clock hole here right next to this, you know, little bored out hole. That's blank. All right, so just make sure you line that up. All All right, so this and this, the piston is going to be changed. Okay, again, washer that is selective. And they go, you know, if you go to order this, they might ask you what number is on the back or what color it is. Okay, let's take a look at the pump. Then we'll take a look at the valve body and finish it up. Okay. Bolts. Here is the stator. All right. Looks good. Got your rings here. Make sure the rings are free. Also, when the bushings go bad on this reverse input drum, you're going to get grooves in the drum, and you might get these rings frozen here. All right. If they do get frozen, you may have no reverse. Here is the pump body. Let's take the gears out. All right, the pump body is good. The gears look a little worn here on the outside, so I'm changing the gears. You can get us the pump gears. Okay, but other than that, it's fine. All right, so that is the pump gears I have already. So the valve body. All right, here are your shift solenoids. They're going to be replaced. Lockup solenoid here, replaced. And we're going to take this, okay, take this plate off here. There will be a gasket. That'll be replaced. All right, and what I do also, because let's just pop this off here. This plate gets replaced because it tends to break from the 2-3 accumulator beaten up against the plate. It tends to crack and spiderweb. When that happens, it can burn your direct clutches out. All right, so let's just pop these off here. These tension plates. Here. Okay. Here. Here. All right, so if you clean this and you look at it, you'll see that it starts to spiderweb, as this one is. You know, I can see it cracked and, you know, like the crack's starting to come out. So very important. I always replace this plate, and that is when it only has the 2 tension plates. Okay, the early ones come with 3. You don't have to put a plate in it. Okay, but when it comes with 2, really beats the heck out of the plate. And there's also 2 sizes of these, with the tension plate and without. This is taller, okay, when it doesn't have it, and when it does have the tension plate on an early unit, this is shorter. Okay, so let's dump this oil. I'm gonna get move this out of the way. Gonna get 8 holes in this thing. You got a drain back here, you got a screen here, and you have 1. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 check balls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Drain back, and this screen here. All right, so let me dump this so I don't have full out. Okay, what I'm going to do here now is take out the pressure regulator valve. Okay, and I like to update that. All right, so here is the updated pressure regulator valve that I use. All right, it's a Sonics 7694809. Okay, so let's check this out. So I'm going to pop the clip out. All right, these valves, when they're bad, they tend to wear around here on the bottom. All right, this one's not too bad, but I changed them as a regular procedure. Okay, so that's that. Now here's the solenoid reg valve. If this valve gets stuck, you can have shifting problems. All right, so that, you really can't see. Let me just pick it up a little bit and I'll show you, I want to show you what I do. So we're gonna get the retainer out. Okay, here's the spring. And this valve's got to be very, very free. All right, so this is what the valve looks like. So I'm going to put it aside. And what I have is this resizer I got from Sonics. So I knock this in till the bottom's out. Let me bring this back down. Okay, so I knock this in till the bottom's out all the way to the end, and then I put this. They got threaded hole back there. I got a screw here. I screwed all the way, like halfway in. I use a plier and then I tap it back out to resize the board, just to make sure that the valve is not going to stick. Very, very important. All right, and that is about it for this 4R75E out of this 2008 F-150 pickup. So I got some stuff coming. I got pretty much, you know, what I need, and I'll be on this tomorrow. I'm gonna, you know, I do the bushings. I got the new drum, banner kit, solenoids, the valves for the valve body. Just whatever I need, I'm gonna get it. Like I said, I got some of the stuff here already. Here actually is the new plate that I'm gonna use. Okay, that's made by I think it's Superior. So it's a super tough, and it comes with a piece to put over that 2-3 accumulator. All right, guys, so I think that is it for this teardown. I thank you guys so much and have a great day, and we will see you next one.